What's going on, guys? It is Carly here, bringing you day 26 of my 31 days of horror, and today we're going to be talking about an interesting one from the 90s, 1993 to be exact, and that is Mother's Boy, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. And you know, this is more of a thriller type of film. It even says the fatal attraction of the 90s here on the back. You know, this came out kind of, it seems like the 90s were really big on their thrillers, where it was lacking in horror. That's a big thing. Everyone says the horror movies sucked. There are a lot of thrillers coming out in the late 80s into the early 90s, and this is one of them. I had never seen this one before. I always see it on a weird 4-pack with, I believe it's Halloween 6, 7, and 8, and then this movie, which is, the pack doesn't really make sense because it's like you get 3 Halloween movies and 3 Jamie Lee Curtis movies, but like they don't all exactly menangle together. But so I've always seen it on that pack, and I've always been kind of intrigued, but I never really needed to pick it up because I already owned all the Halloween films. And I found this movie, I believe, at a Goodwill when I went to a drive-in about an hour away last year, and finally figured why not grab it. It was on VHS, and that was kind of cool. But anyway, to get into the story here, you pretty much are following Jamie Lee Curtis. She is pretty much this unstable mother, kind of like, I guess, a deadbeat type of mom who pretty much abandoned her children. She has 3 boys. I believe one is a 12-year-old, and then she has twin sons who are a little bit younger than that, and I think this is like the second time that she left them. Like, she left once, and then she tried to come back, and the husband let her come back, and then she ran off again. So this time she is back again, and her husband has pretty much had it. He is going to marry this new girl that he's been seeing. She is, I believe, the guidance counselor at the boys' school, and she does well with the boys, and he's kind of fallen in love with her now and moved on with his life. So he plans on marrying her and divorcing Jamie Lee Curtis, whose name is Jude in the movie, but she pretty much does not stand for that. She wants her family back. She does not want joint custody of the kids. She just wants the entire family back, or she's, you know, not going to settle for anything else. So it's kind of just watching her as she spirals out of control and plans like these sort of evil ways of getting her family back. So like I said, it's definitely more along the lines of thriller. It reminds me of all the movies like Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, what else, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, all those types of films that you got around this time. But I feel these are all kind of borderline horror too, and this one definitely has some borderline horror things going on in it. First thing I'll say is, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, I've always been pretty much a big fan of her when I really think about it. I've seen her in quite a bit of stuff, and I've always enjoyed her as an actress. I think she does a good job in anything, and I feel like this is an interesting role for her because it's more of the unstable, sorry if you could hear the motorcycle in the background there, but the unstable sort of bad mother type of character, where I feel like in most of her movies she's playing more of the victim or more of the motherly figure that you kind of run to, or just, you know, just kind of a basic character. And this one, she's almost more, well, she is kind of more of the bad guy in a way, with just the way she's going about doing things and trying to handle stuff. And I think she nails it in this movie. Like I said, I think she does good in pretty much all her roles. She's also very seductive in this film, and I think it definitely works for her character. And you get certain moments where she sort of flips out and loses control for a minute, and I think she does really well at that. It seems kind of believable with unstable people. It seems she's not being too over the top or anything like that. I could definitely picture someone kind of acting the way she acts. You know, the big thing in this movie is she sort of there's a few scenes where she gets to spend time with her boys. The father allows it, and she's trying to manipulate the 12-year-old basically to tell him, like, hey, this girl that your dad's marrying is trying to tear our family apart, and I'm really the good woman, and this girl is just gonna, like, marry him, and then she's gonna turn into a super bitch, so you gotta kind of try to stop it from happening. You know, I think it works, but I feel like towards the ending it gets a little bit ridiculous and over the top with what's going on and how it all plays out with this boy trying to kind of, I guess, handle things in a way. I think it just gets a little bit over the top for my liking. It kind of just comes off as a bit ridiculous and a little bit unbelievable. I mean, I think these type of things could happen, but it just seems like this boy wouldn't. I just feel like at 12, you're not going to be that manipulated. I don't know, I guess it kind of depends. I guess it could happen, but the way it plays out in the movie just seems a little bit eye-rolly. But other than that, I think it is pretty solid. Like I said, Jamie Lee Curtis is great in it, and I think everyone else is good. The kid actors are pretty good. There are a few also dream sequences that the oldest boy has, and they're actually creepy. They made me jump. Not really creepy, but they're just kind of the jump scare type of tactic, and then the boy kind of snaps out of it, and they worked for me. I jumped it. I think there's 3 in here, and I jumped at every single one, even though I kind of knew something was going to happen. It's just like one of those split-second type of things. So, the way the movie ends reminds me actually a little bit of The Good Son, which I think that movie might have come out the same year, 1993. If I'm wrong, it was either 92, 94, somewhere around that. But the ending just kind of has that vibe to it, and once again, you know, maybe a little over the top, but it does kind of build tension and suspense, and it's kind of like a downbeat type of ending. So, yeah, overall pretty solid. I feel like, if anything, these movies all sort of start feeling the same, these horror thriller type of films from the early 90s, but other than that, if you're into those types of movies, which I honestly am, I usually like every single one I see, and this is, you know, no exception. I do recommend this, cool checkouts, and if you know, like Jamie Lee Curtis like I do, it's definitely one that you would want to check out. So I give this a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you guys once again for joining me for day 26 here on my 31 Days of Horror, and I will see you tomorrow for day 27.